Good day, it's July 14th, 2025. The death toll in Texas floods continues to rise, and there are lots of finger pointing of who is to blame going around. I'm Sam Buban, welcome to The Pulse.
And I'm Joe Boban. Welcome to this week's edition.
The flash flood caused by torrential rain in Texas last week has now claimed more than 120 lives, and there are still 100 who are missing. The 4th of July flash flood was caused by previous day heavy rain that overflowed the Guadalupe River. Up to 20 inches of rain fell over the parts of Kerr County, sending the flood waves down the Guadalupe River in the early morning of the 4th of July holiday. And as the river overflows its banks, the flood ran over the town of Kerr and multiple villages. This flooding is now listed as the second deadliest flood event in Texas since 1986. This disaster happened amid a political backdrop whereby the Trump administration has just made a plan to further cut the budget for FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, which has for decades the first response to financial assistance to people and communities who are victims of calamities. The local government in Texas that were affected by this flood continue to prioritize search for missing individuals, but the hopes are mostly on recovering the body of dead victims. Property damage could reach billions in value of the wide area affected. Texas is still continuing to search and rescue efforts. Another flash flood caused by torrential rain happened midweek last week in the state of New Mexico. Several states are now affected from rain and flooding, which just indicate that these changing weather patterns and disturbances are effects of global warming, according to scientists.
President Trump's big beautiful bill, which to many is simply a tax cut for the rich and elimination of funding for the poor, that passed through the Senate as a reconciliation bill, will render 17 million Americans without health insurance and social safety net programs being severely cut, with some totally eliminated. Pressure and threat from the president upon those who originally opposed the bill were applied, with the help from Fox News and other right-wing media outlet, made the reconciliation bill passed with less than a handful vote difference. Many analysts had said that the larger number of victims of this bill are in the traditional red states, who depends highly on federal budget to run their government programs. Several dozens of hospitals in these Republican-led states are expected to close as Medicaid money shrinks to extremely critical level. The approved reconciliation bill also shrinks the government, eliminating government-funded services, including the size of funding for FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which state and local governments rely on to rebuild disaster-stricken areas. But without those government funds, former homeowners who are without insurance or limited insurance will not be able to rebuild their homes as government calamity assistance funds disappear.
The travel chaos continued through the last week. following the 4th of July holiday caused by severe weather in the U.S. Northeast region. Severe thunderstorm in several states in the Northeast prompted FAA to cancel 500 flights and caused 5,000 flights to be delayed. In New York LaGuardia Airport, New Jersey Liberty Airport, and Washington, D.C. airports. That is on top of the more than 26,000 flights nationwide that has already been delayed as a ripple effect of the flight cancellations in the Northeast regions. Delays of flights in one region in the U.S. certainly affects other region flights, as airplanes used for connecting and continuing destinations for one aircraft in a given day is affected. Air and bus travelers are advised to check the week's weather forecast before buying tickets or proceeding with their travel plans, even if they are already ticketed, to avoid costly delays and inconvenience. We are going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned.
We use headphones as a part of our everyday lives. Whether we're at work, getting exercise, meditating, in transit, studying, practicing, or relaxing.
Hi, I'm Ryan Sway, the founder of Aircom. I would like to introduce the world's first wireless airflow audio earbuds. As a festival and a concert junkie, I really enjoy the live experience of being there and feeling the music. When we started developing Airflow, our goal was to reproduce that live experience using earbuds.
The problem with traditional headphones is that the speakers are located inside of the earpiece, literally giving you centimeters before the audio hits your eardrum.
What Aircom is doing, they're the first company to actually address the fact that there needs to be a space involved associated with having the sound waves expand fully.
The difference between traditional headphones and Aircom audio is that the air tube gives you 8 times more space, allowing the sound waves to fully develop before they actually hit your eardrums. And this gives it a much more live, natural sound, just like in a recording studio.
Real nice that someone actually addressed the physics associated with how sound comes out.
The challenge we had was to create an earbud with enough airspace for the sound to fully develop and breathe. Unfortunately, traditional earbuds are about the size of a jelly bean, and there's just not enough airspace. However, that changed when we developed Airflow Audio. Airflow uses an air tube to deliver 6 to 8 times more airspace than traditional earbuds. The end result is a true live listening experience, just like you're at a festival or a concert. We also added magnets to the back of the earpieces so you can wear it around your neck when you're not using it.
Being that the drivers are 8 inches from the earpiece, the magnets do not affect the integrity of the sound at all.
The orange line represents the frequency transmitting through the wire to the speaker, which then converts to the blue sound wave that develops more as it travels up the air tube, producing a balanced, full body and live listening experience.
So now you can be on a skateboard or riding a motorcycle and listen to music as if you were watching a live show or actually in a recording studio.
We're coming to you for help in bringing these unparalleled earbuds to market.
Welcome back to The Pulse. A very important guardrail to Trump's excess of issuing executive orders and policies no longer exists as the U.S. Supreme Court decided in favor of the Trump administration. In a most recent decision, the High Court decided in favor of the administration in a lawsuit that ended nationwide injunction by federal district court judges. The Supreme Court issued a decision more than a week ago in Trump versus Casa, Inc., a trio of consolidated cases in which the High Court limited the ability of federal courts to block federal laws and policies. The court held that the Judiciary Act of 1789 does not authorize nationwide injunctions that reach more broadly than needed to provide relief to parties in a case, but the High Court left open several potential avenues for litigants to seek universal relief. The substantive legal issue in these cases concerned the validity of Executive Order number 14,600, protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship, the birthright citizenship. Under Trump's executive order states that the protection afforded to individuals under the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment, known as birthright citizenship, shall not apply to certain individuals born in the United States, to specified categories of alien parents. The Supreme Court here simply ruled on ending national injunction by federal courts, but allows the challenge to the executive order that wants to end birthright citizenship. The ruling here by the High Court affects other injunctions put in place by the lower federal courts on other executive orders. However, federal court judges continue to impose injunctions of many other executive orders of the president.
News from the Philippines, the town mayor of Bamban, Tarlac, who has been implicated in the illegal Philippine Overseas Gaming Operations, or POGO, Alice Gu, has been ruled and declared a Chinese citizen by a Manila Regional Trial Court, and therefore ineligible to hold an elected public office. The ruling in the petition by the government for determination is that Alice Gu is a Chinese citizen. According to evidence, the former mayor was born in China but had later obtained a delayed registration of birth in the Philippines, allowed under the existing law for Filipinos born abroad but with one of the parents still a Filipino citizen at the time of the child's birth. Children born in this circumstance are considered natural-born Filipinos under the 1987 Philippine Constitution. In Alice Gu's case, the court finds that she was not able to provide evidence of her mother's Filipino citizenship.
In the Philippine Senate impeachment case on Vice President Sara Duterte, the leaders of the House of Representatives and the Senate continue its back-and-forth disagreement in the media arena, instead of the outside in the Senate. The Philippine Senate, which is supposed to act as the trial judges on the impeachment case of the Vice President, has not convened the trial. House prosecutors continue its pressure campaign to make the trial happen, but more than 8 senators who are supporters of President Duterte and sympathetic towards Sara Duterte are doing everything they can to delay or stall from having to convene a Senate trial of the Vice President on grounds of alleged mishandling or misuse of the Vice President's intelligence funds worth 25 billion pesos and an alleged verbal threat of killing the sitting President, Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Things did not improve as Senator Miguel Zubiri, the former Senate President, was quoted in the media saying this impeachment is a witch hunt. He later explained that he is still in favor of a Senate trial, but several House members pushed back that the senator had already prejudged the case without looking into the evidence. We are going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back to the polls. In Thailand, the Constitutional Court had suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra, while the case against her seeking dismissal is pending. In a report from Reuters, 36 senators had filed a petition in court seeking to dismiss the Prime Minister for dishonesty and breaching the ethical standards in violation of the Constitution over a leaked, politically sensitive phone call with Cambodia's influential former leader Hun Sen. A constitutional court of the Kingdom of Thailand under the Thai law is an independent court created by the 1997 Constitution that has jurisdiction in ruling over constitutionality of parliamentary acts, royal decrees, draft legislation, as well as appointment or removal of public officials and issued regarding political parties. The Thai government is expected to be led by the Deputy Prime Minister in a caretaker capacity, while the Constitutional Court hears the case against Paetongtarn.
As Donald Trump attacks Vladimir Putin in the media, Ukraine has been the target for the worst attack from Russia. In a report from BBC, President Volodymyr Zelensky claims that Russia has launched the largest aerial assault on Ukraine in history, with 13 cruise or ballistic missiles and 728 drones hitting cities throughout the nation in several waves. Zelensky denounced the enhanced attack, stating it comes precisely at a time when so many efforts have been made to achieve peace, to establish a ceasefire, and yet only Russia continues to rebuff them all. Following President Trump's announcement that the U.S. will deliver more weaponry to Kiev, the overnight strike occurred. According to the U.S. media, Trump was unaware of the suspension that had been in place for the previous week. The U.S. president voiced his mounting annoyance at Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday. Trump told reporters, "If you want to know the truth, we get a lot of bullshit thrown at us by Putin. He is very nice to us all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless." Dmitry Peskov, the spokesperson for the Kremlin, stated that Moscow has quite calm about this. Trump typically speaks in a hostile manner, using strong language. Trump declared himself very unhappy after speaking with the Russian president over the phone last week. He wants to go all the way, just keep killing people. It's no good, Trump remarked about Putin. Elbridge Colby, the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, and U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth reportedly approved the Trump administration's plan to suspend military aid to Ukraine. Trump, who is seated directly next to Hegseth at a press conference, said, "I don't know," in response to reporters' Tuesday question as to who made the decision to suspend the shipment to Ukraine. According to the U.S. media Axios, the decision's reversal might potentially result in the shipment of 10 Patriot missiles to Ukraine. In an effort to combat Russia's increasingly frequent and intense missile and drone threats, Kiev depends on the interceptors. Trump also stated on Tuesday that he was looking at more sanctions bill introduced by Republican Senator Lindsey Graham that would impose 500% tariffs on the nation that do business with Russia. He was likely referring to countries like Brazil, who keeps buying cheap Russian oil despite the sanctions put in place after Russia invaded Ukraine. Since taking office in January, Trump has threatened to put penalties on Russia, but he hasn't done so yet. Even while Kiev and the country's east are frequently targeted, Russian strikes have hit all parts of Ukraine. Tuesday's nocturnal attack mostly targeted Luhansk, a city 90 kilometers or 56 miles from the Polish border and a transit hub for humanitarian and military goods. The western cities of Rivne and Lviv also reported explosions.
In Africa, the president of Rwanda is uncertain if the Democratic Republic of Congo peace deal will last and cautions against what is described as tricks. According to Al Jazeera, a U.S. brokered peace agreement with the Democratic Republic of Congo has been cautiously welcomed by Rwandan President Paul Kagame, who has hinted that Kigali will strike back if challenged. At a press conference in Kigali on Friday, President Kagame stated that Rwanda was still committed to the agreement but raised doubts about the Kinshasa's ability to fulfill its ends of the bargain. We handled the issue as we has been handling it, even if the side we are working with tricks us and brings us back to the issue, Kagame stated. Supported by U.S. President Donald Trump's administration, the agreement was struck last week and stipulates that Rwandan troops must leave the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo within 90 days. This year, there had been fierce fighting in the area, with the M23 rebels taking control of important cities. Rwanda has been accused by the United Nations of providing the militia with thousands of troops, a claim Kigali refutes. Although the peace accord is regarded as a watershed, experts do not think it would put an immediate end to the fighting because M23, one of the main combatants in the conflict, claims it is exempt from the agreement. Rwanda maintains that the armed group known as the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, or FDLR, which is composed of ethnic Hutu militants connected with the 1994 Rwandan genocide, is the source of the military presence in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. According to Kagame, if the agreement is to be successful, Kinshasa must take action to dissolve the FDLR. The most well-known armed group in the conflict in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo is M23, which is backed by Rwanda. Its significant progress earlier this year left bodies on the streets. The UN has referred to the DRC's 7 million displaced people as one of the most protracted, complex, serious humanitarian crises on Earth. M23 has participated in various peace negotiations but has not participated in the U.S.-mediated attempts. Representatives of M23 and the Congolese government agreed Thursday to return to Qatar for additional talks aimed at bringing the conflict to an end. Washington, however, has put out a different investment plan that may enable Western businesses to access the wealth of titanium, copper, and gold mine in the area, resources that are historically contributed to violence in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Kagame made his first public appearance since June 6 on Friday, which sparked rumors about his health while he was away. The president is gravely ill, according to foreign dissidents, including former aide David Himbara. We are out of time for this broadcast. Please join us again next week. I'm Sam Buban, thanking you for watching.
And I'm Joe Boban. Thank you and God bless your week.